Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023 and as amended as of March 28, 2025, this meeting will be conducted in person and via remote means in accordance with applicable law. This meeting may be recorded. Every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately assess the proceedings to the best of our technical abilities. And despite our best efforts due to lack of technical infrastructure, a transcript or other comprehensive recording of the session will be available as soon as possible after the meeting. I call this meeting to order. All right. I know there was a barrage of emails over the past probably 6 hours as I was getting things. So I guess where do people want to start? Do we just want to project the list and walk top to bottom like we did last time, or
do you mind if I jump in and make a suggestion?
Yeah.
Only because, so if we start top to bottom, I know that there are some folks who are coming here tonight to speak to some of these items.
Okay.
At the top of the list, and they're not here yet.
Got it. Okay.
But if I could just take a second. So this sheet that I've handed out, I just want to explain to you what you're looking at. And if we start from the right-hand side of the page, the last 4 columns are what I have put in and I want to draw your attention to. So there's a column called Town Manager Recommended. And then to the right of that are 3 additional columns, and those would be the funding sources for the town manager's recommendation. So at a real high level, there was over $20 million worth of requests for capital for FY27. That's what you'll see in the column just to the left of Town Manager Recommended under budgeted, or basically it's project totals, the requests that the departments have made. And then of that, the town manager has gone through and prioritized. There's some different color shading on this report, and I wanted to just touch upon that quickly. So the items shaded in yellow are items that the town manager is recommending that the departments have requested, and full funding is being recommended by the town manager. The items in blue have been requested by the department, but they are not being fully funded. And we can talk about those as we get to them on why or what changes might be forthcoming. And then there are a couple of items in peach that have either been newly added or removed. And so on the top, on the first page, the first item is an HRIS software system. I do not believe that got into ClearGov in time, Alex, for one of your data dumps.
Okay.
So I wanted to make sure that it was on the radar and we discussed it. Jeannie is on her way over here tonight, so that's why I asked if we could not start at the top. But then if you go to page 3, there is another item that is highlighted in peach and it's been crossed off, which is the sewer system maintenance. And the reason that it was crossed off, not that the need has gone away by any stretch, but a mere funding and trying to fund priority items in this plan with keeping in mind that at the last town meeting, we did appropriate $200,000 to sewer maintenance and upgrades. And as of yesterday, there was over 100,000 still left in there. So we still have a little bit of funding to work with. I know that's not entirely desirable for Mark, but it was a funding capacity situation.
What about the line item right above it? Should that be in peach also?
That should also be in peach, yes, which is the sewer plant generator additional funding needed is no longer being requested because we have available funds to complete that project.
From that
last
year's sewer.
So we had the bid came in at 270,000. Last year's town meeting appropriated 250, and Mark has 20,000 available in the sewer budget that we can utilize. So that will be fully funded and does not need any additional capital funds.
Okay.
And then on the third page, the last one, I added a new item. This has not gotten into ClearGov. Oh, this is Capital Light. Never mind.
Yeah.
I just thought you guys might find this one interesting. I shared it with the department heads today, and I'll just share a quick snippet. The town receives funding through the state, and it's called the Transportation Network Commission or Committee, TNC. And they're our TNC funds. And essentially the source of that funding is every Uber ride or ride share. So Uber, Lyft, whatever ride share originates in the town of Duxbury or concludes in the town of Duxbury. We receive 10 cents for every one of those rides. Every community does it. So back when Uber was, sort of coming online and being registered with the state, they set up this program of revenue sharing with the communities. And so every community receives 10 cents for those rides, which equates to, this has been going on for a couple of years. And the town has not utilized those funds. They can only be used for transportation related expenses. And so because we receive less than $1,000 a year, somewhere in the vicinity of $700 to $800 a year, we've been accumulating them. There's now about $7,600 or $7,700 in that fund. And the highway superintendent, our DPW operations manager, Norm, has a need for some additional traffic signage. And so this would be a good use of those funds. So although your committee doesn't vote on it, it was a new addition to the list. And some people found that interesting that nobody knew that we were getting a dime for every Uber ride. So there you go.
So it adds up.
Over a few years.
So I'm presenting the same spreadsheet that you guys have in hard copies and what I sent. It's the same one I emailed over this afternoon. I just added columns for our priorities off to the right. And I squished down the spreadsheet to take out anything that wasn't related to capital over 25% or didn't have a 27 request. There were a bunch of blank for out year projects. So just to make it a little easier to digest. So that's what I'm projecting on the screen right now.
So we could start at the top now that Jeannie's here. If you wanted to.
Yeah, I think guys, okay with that, start at the top and we'll walk our way through it.
Recording in progress.
All right. Yeah.
I'm trying to, maybe I'm trying.
Good. Cool. Welcome.
Can you turn your volume down?
I think we met December at our December meeting. So we this came up at our, I think, December 17th meeting. And new, hadn't been entered into ClearGov yet, but this is the HRIS system that we discussed. So I don't know if anyone has questions for Jeannie? Or Jeannie, you have anything you want to sort of comment on to start? Happy to.
I do. So I added the presentation to ClearGov
Perfect.
this afternoon to the capital budget. And I do have copies available if anyone wants one. I tried to save paper, so I printed several slides per page. So just in terms of pricing.
Yeah. We can, let's see, download it too from ClearGov.
So, thank you. So since we met, we have received some pricing. So we explored, less than a dozen providers, and we there were three in particular that seemed to fit our needs most closely. So we did, get pricing from three of the providers.
Okay.
So that's what I updated on the presentation that you have in front of you. So the lowest, and these are preliminary cost estimates. So the lowest cost estimate is about $160,000 a year. And the highest with implementation is a little over $200,000 a year. So it's in the ballpark.
And this price range is year one plus implementation.
So it's year one, including implementation.
Have you, I guess, had your discussions with FinCom about go forward? I mean,
We haven't talked about this with income.
okay,
We have talked about efficiencies and workload, staffing. We have not specifically spoken about software.
okay.
So there's no offset. This would be 100 to 150 increase in operating budget each year.
And it'd probably be between 150 and 200. I mean, it depends.
So if I could
Yes.
just jump in for a second, so we are in the process of still participating in software demonstrations.
Yeah.
Now, these prices that we're getting are all in for all modules, and as
Yeah.
you can imagine, these software vendors offer lots of different modules.
Sure.
We have not yet whittled down to the ones that we want to implement. So this is sort of our upper range to stand the program up. But I anticipate that our go forward cost is going to be less than that because we're not going to be implementing the full ERP systems that they operate. We are trying to address specific issues right now that are manual procedures that are very labor intensive and really need to be automated. And so this will at least get us started. It's going to take a while before we are able to find the right solution and the right set of modules and the right price point. But we know that we're going to need to incorporate some level of increase in our go forward operating budget. I'll be honest with you. With respect to the budget for next year, a lot depends on whether the 5B budget passes or not. And it will impact choices that we make for things like this. So no decision is going to be made prior to that time.
I guess I somewhat struggle if this is capital or not. I can, the implementation piece, I can get my head around. But including the 1 year sort of operating, I don't know, gives me pause. I think it's, in my mind, it's, if we approve this
Then we were approving an annual cost.
for an operating cost for FinCom, which,
Yeah. But they didn't break out the implementation cost. It's an all-in cost.
No, it can be broken out.
Oh.
They should be. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, listen, I think I said when we met this time, I'm a huge proponent of HRS systems. They can certainly work their way and go at organizations. Fully support us thinking through it. I just, from a capital standpoint, I struggle with whether this sort of falls into our bailiwick or not.
That's if the operating costs can be covered in their operating
Yeah.
budget, like if they're, well, this offsets that. Then.
It would still be, it would still be a conversation and but it seems like there's a lot of, it's mostly additive. And this is, year one plus some implementation. Like I said, I can get my head around the ask for implementation all day long. We capitalize that stuff at work. That all makes sense to me, but,
Right.
So then the reality is that this will then more than likely be pushed out for at least another year and a half. Which means there's no, there's no strategy on the short-term horizon for us to address the challenges that we're facing.
yeah, and I mean, like, I guess.
And I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and I mean, I think what we need to do for this one is this needs to be a joint meeting, us and FinCom.
Okay.
And I think it's one of those things we all have to agree. This is the direction we want to go, and this is the money we want to spend. Because it's really, it's no good if we get this for 1 year.
Right, and
Right.
shouldn't this be in the IT budget? Because it's the school and
So yeah, I mean, it will ultimately end up landing there. Right now, the proponent of this is the HR department. They're driving the bus right now.
Yeah.
Mike is fully aware. He's participated. He's actually online if you wanted to ask him some questions. But again, this solution is going to be a town-wide solution.
Yeah.
The school has been included in the process every step of the way as well. So we're looking for some consolidated tools in our toolkit to address challenges.
Right, but so the ongoing operating cost would be under HR or IT or split between the school and the town?
This would ultimately end up landing because it would be a subscription, the software is a subscription, so ultimately it would land in IT.
Right, but so maybe we shouldn't cover this all for the whole meeting, but from my notes, there was 7 different software systems. All of those are gonna continue no matter what? Or is there some offset? And if we could investigate that if there's other systems that we're paying,
That we would be replacing with this new solution.
Right.
Yes.
So that's what we would need.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, it sounded like a lot of the schools are very school specific, and we don't need to keep them if I remember
Yeah,
correctly, but
yeah, because they're heavily wedded with the student information system as well.
right, but the town has 3 systems in addition to the 7 in the school, so.
Yeah, we
Let's
do.
just-
There's a lot.
Okay.
There is a lot. There's a hybrid out there that we're trying to consolidate.
Alex, are we planning on having a joint meeting with finance?
so, I mean, we would. Typically, the way we sort of do it is we create our priorities and then we have sort of one meeting at the end.
Okay.
I think something like this probably warrants a joint meeting, or at least,
A joint expression of unhappiness.
or no, I wouldn't say unhappiness, it's just, we need to hold hands and sing Kumbaya together is what we want.
It's a joint decision.
I would appreciate that because otherwise it looks like, one of us is the bad guys.
Yeah.
We might as well both either be the good guys or the bad guys.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, we're supportive of the system,
Exactly.
it's just how do we go about doing it.
Yeah.
Is there an implementation cost that Alex is, okay with?
So we would just, it sounds like they're pretty too early in the process. These are sort of, it sounds like these are all in right now.
Yeah.
If I had to venture a guess, it's probably $30,000 to $50,000. It's probably the,
One said it was 20% of the annual cost, another one broke it out.
yeah,
So it's somewhere between 20 and 30,000.
And and annually they would charge?
No.
No,
no, that's just the year
And-
one implementation.
And that's gonna be also wholly dependent on how much data we convert as part of the implementation process.
Yes,
Okay.
and then
So none of the subscription costs are represented in any other budget other than what we're looking at here. Okay.
All right. So yeah, I think the takeaway is let's circle back after the meeting and let's try to get either us going to FinCom or FinCom coming to us And let's talk through it.
Okay.
All right, IT, town computer replacements. So I think the way you're budgeting it, Mary, is try to do this over 2 years, but
So-
buy them.
So yes, now let me start off by saying, and again, Mike is up here on our screen. That is not our CTO's desired
Yes,
approach.
yes.
However, he and I, and he's shaking his head, he and I have had a conversation regarding this. And again, a lot of this is, when we put the recommendations together, it's funding dependent, right?
Yeah.
And so this is what we could program into our capital budget, and with the rationale that we could potentially do a 2-year implementation. Now, let me start off by saying, I'll share with you what my comments that I shared at the department head meeting this morning. When I put together my schedule for my earmarks for free cash, not only do I set aside funding for capital programming, but I also have to set aside funding for lots of other things that we take to town meeting, right? Replenishing our reserves, unpaid bills, collective bargaining agreements, etc. One of the items that I have a placeholder in my free cash schedule for is snow and ice deficit.
Yeah.
And right now I'm carrying $200,000 for a potential snow and ice deficit. We are not there yet. But I have no idea what the next 8 weeks is going to bring. We're all going to pray that we have spring-like weather as quickly as possible. In which case I can drop that down and not have to earmark it for snow and ice, which frees it up for some of these blue items here where I've indicated that they are not fully funded. The two in particular that I think we want to draw attention to is the PAC roof, as well as this computer investment. So right now where we stand is 250 for the town side. There's also another ask on here from IT of a teacher laptop refresh at 400,000.
Yeah.
And that one is fully funded.
Yeah.
I did talk with Mike and I asked him to consider, is there an offer, if he felt that it would be, we would be better suited, if there were any efficiencies on the teacher laptop purchase to bring that down and move funding over to the town side. And, I defer to his expertise on that.
And Mike and I had swapped some emails this afternoon, and it sounds like, Mike, we can maybe get the teacher replacements down to about 380.
Yeah, I think based on like the conversations that we've had, Alex, around the amount of spares that exist, and what I would historically be happy with in a perfect scenario, and I think what we can make work from an operational perspective in the climate that we're in are two different things. So I think we can minimize that spare pool, which would be a much smaller percentage on the school side comparative to what we did 6 years ago with the last lease, or purchase. But I think we can make it work. So yeah, I think we could probably shave about 20,000 off of that 400 number if we really had to, and we'd be okay kind of moving forward to fill in those gaps if we had to with whatever OpEx we could find.
Got it.
So, Mike, are you carrying spares for both the town and the school side?
Yes, I sure am. And Alex and I had gone back and forth, and I'm sure you folks were probably privy to maybe or maybe not those documents, but I had a larger spare number that I would like to keep, and we discussed kind of the industry standard around 5 to 7%. So the proposed delta on the town side from that 540K, if we minimize those spares, would bring us down to 7%. And then on the school side, it was even slimmer at 5% of the total amount. Obviously, there's more devices on the school side, just sort of a different nature. But so we looked at like a 31,000, almost a $32,000 reduction on the town side off of that 540 if we were to take those spares even lower. Yeah.
I guess one question I have is would we be better off financing one or the other. You know, doing the
Wouldn't you want to do the older ones first that are not supported by software that,
you're talking the town ones versus school ones, or
well,
just-
I don't know the age of, but I would work backwards and.
Yeah, so I think that that logic is definitely sound. I would lean to do one or the other from a support perspective, right? To keep as much of a streamlined fleet as we could. And the school devices are on their last supported, OS historically from Apple, right? So we're going to reach that point. We're already essentially at that point where we're not going to be able to install the newest operating system, and we won't be able to kind of get new security updates that we need. The town on the other side, just because of the nature of the way that it's, where it hasn't been done all at once, which, as Mary noted, is really the preferred way, and I would think the industry standard best practice. Is sort of all over the place with a consensus of, a lot of older machines. So yeah, I mean, I'd rather do one side sort of or the other. And in a perfect world, I would love to spread the payment for both of these. However, we do that. I mean, Mary and I have discussed that, and just however we could feasibly figure out a way to make that work would be the dream. But I don't know if that's an opportunity at this time, kind of based on the discussions that we've had. I do think that these costs are never going to go away, right? Like, and it's just how we strategically approach them to create sustainability, so that we don't end up in a situation where we have 10-year-old machines and we're kind of opening ourselves up to vulnerability that exists. So that's really, I mean, again, I know Mary and others are well aware of the philosophy that I have there, and I understand the constraints we're under, but that's my thought. I mean, these costs will never go away. It's going to pop up again if we follow best practice in 3 to 5 years, 5 ideally. So yeah.
um,
So one more question, Mike, is this based on actual quotes, and is there opportunities to get the computers, but don't replace all the monitors? Is there a way to get the heart of the system that needs to operate well, where monitors have a longer lifespan?
Yeah, no, I think that's a valid question. Yeah, I would say your monitor is probably good for 6 to 8 years, as opposed to 3 to 5 on the computers. Um, we are going to do the best we can with whatever we're fortunate enough to receive. You know what I mean? If we can't do all of it, and if we have the ability to phase it over 2 years, we're going to have to find a way to get creative, which I will certainly do my best to do, so that we get to a spot that we need to be.
But you haven't gotten actual quotes. Is there a volume discount if we're doing this
Yeah, no,
many?
these are all based on actual quotes. These numbers are all based off of actual quotes.
The full fit out of the monitors?
monitors, keyboards, extra power supplies. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Okay.
I guess, Mike, and I get, this is just a sort of a ballpark question. If you
Yeah.
if you were to get 250K on the town side, would that guarantee that? Because if I remember correctly, that list is both some shared computers, some public computers, employee computers. Could we guarantee that employees would get computers, or
I think we could try to get close. You know what I mean? We sort of have to go back to the drawing board and say, okay, now work with half. You know what I mean? And reprioritize and reorganize and try to figure out what that means. But yeah, I think employee computers would take precedent over public use computers, and we would put the older devices in those places as appropriate, as long as ideally they're still supported and we can run, a modern operating system on there. Yeah, I think we could probably get close. Maybe, you know what I mean? But it'll be a creative exercise to figure that out, to go back through the whole list again, essentially.
or I mean, I guess the other option is, we fund this at, 127 or something close. We can use 127 for argument's sake and do the 5 year, but we just committed ourselves to 5 years of
That coming right off the top.
coming off the top, just like we did with the Chromebooks. We've done it with the retorts in the past.
Mhm.
Um,
I have a technical question. For something like this, if they're leasing it, is the lease set up for a 5-year lease, or is the lease set up for like, what, some other period of time?
I think Mike got a quote on is it a 5-year, Mike, not a 3-year, right?
It's a 5 year, yeah. And the idea behind that, the philosophy, Frank, is that we spread that payment over the full life, right? So the full life of those machines, if we're going to adhere to best practice, right, would be 5 years. Um, and then, at the end of the 5, we continue to repeat that process. So we get a whole new batch of devices that are, again, modern and appropriate for all of our employees so that they can be, productive and successful with the gear that we give them. But yeah, five years would be the target based on, you know, the longest we could push a best practice life cycle.
if we went that route with the financing, do we buy any support? Does that come with anything?
It does come with it. Yeah. I believe it's at least a standard 3 years right out of the box, or right out of the gate rather, excuse me. So, full hardware support, with I believe like an 8 to 5 SLA for all the gear. So we wouldn't have any kind of, other than probably accidental damage or anything like that. We wouldn't have any kind of worry on a hardware side, really.
I mean, I don't wanna
You
jump
know,
the shark.
something else to consider though, at 5 years at 127,000 a year comes out to 635,000. So you're talking an additional 95,000 over the outright purchase, right?
Yeah.
Well, in some sense, at least it encourages my brain to think that we ought to be setting aside this kind of money in some kind of a fund over the course of the next X years, so that the kind of money is available for the technology costs that we know we're gonna see. I don't know how to do that.
I mean, Mike,
The only way that we could do that, Frank, is we drop some items off of this schedule
Understand?
and we take that money and set it aside.
well, I think I would say all the department heads have, at least for the next 5 years, projected out these types of things. Now gets, to your point, gets squishier when we're talking year 6. But I know Mike's got a 10-year, at least on the school side, there's a 10-year IT budget out there. I think Mike's working on the 10-year plan for the town. But it's also hard to understand, especially when we're talking technology, what this stuff is going to cost in the future.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, that's a great point, Alex. And I do have the 10 years kind of laid out for the town side, based on the physical inventory and the recommended life cycles that we should have for all of that gear. And really, like, the rudimentary calculation that I've used is really just 3% inflation year over year, right? So when we look at something over 5 years, I'm figuring in another 15% on top of, sort of what MSRP is right now, just as a placeholder. I also think you're right. We don't know where we're going to be at once that next life cycle comes up. But I promise there will be an associated cost. So I would advise that we continue to hold that, right? Even if, in an example like physical servers, if we move from our physical servers, right, in our data center, and we push them all to the cloud, well, that migration, much like an HRIS migration, is going to cost quite a bit, so I think it makes sense, even if we don't know exactly what that technical solution will be, to maintain, a placeholder that includes the guesstimated inflation to the best of our ability.
and I think the perfect example of this is the original one-to-one computing back in the day was MacBook Airs at $1,100 a
Yes.
unit. And in the most recent, we scaled, the technology changed. We were able to go down to Chromebooks at $199. Is that what I remember?
Yeah,
$199.
right around 200, if not just south of it. Yeah.
So, it's not always gonna work in our favor like that, but, yeah, these things are, especially the technology piece, I don't know. I don't know, Lee, if you have a different opinion or, things we should be thinking through.
No, I mean, I think that you guys, this is something that we kind of touched upon briefly is that, the ideal situation is to have some consistency in the fleet. The notion of being able to be able to service it is there. I mean, you're definitely, we're trying to work around that. I mean, we have a strategy that you're trying to implement here. Trying to replace the machines that no longer have OS updates and things of that nature, and try and eliminate that, that vulnerability surface area that you have there associated with those machines. And there's a lot of things for us to look about doing. I mean, the idea of trying to move away from physical servers is attractive on certain levels, but those costs have a way of just catching up with you at some point. I just know too many examples of people trying to do exactly that, and the cost of compute can be eye-watering sometimes, depending upon what you guys are actually doing. So something for you to keep in mind. So I think that Michael's all over this, and I understand what you're saying. You're articulating it really well, and I think you're being, I think you're, I appreciate you being flexible and working with us on this. So.
Yeah, no, thank you. And I totally agree with you, on the compute side. I mean, I had one particular client in the past life, and their annual spend on their Azure compute instance, moving all their physical footprint to the cloud, was $500,000 a year. You know what I mean? And it wasn't a massive server infrastructure. So totally, yeah, the compute adds up, and it adds up quick.
Right.
Just as, and that was, I guess, solely an example. But yeah, and I would love it, Alex, if we plan 5 years down the road and all of a sudden we have an 80% savings on what we planned for. But plan for a rainy day, I suppose, and kind of see where we're at, rather than, you know, not having the plan, I guess, maybe to Frank's point, and getting a surprise, a gigantic bell curve that just pops up for some sort of an infrastructure or IT need. That's sort of hopefully my philosophy. I'm trying to help put in place.
I think I don't know, and I think the committee, we talked through, safety and security, and to me, like, this is the biggest attack vector in our environment, are the endpoints that are in people's hands.
Mary, did we get the logic behind the 250,000 recommended by the town?
I think that was just what was left.
It was what was left.
Yeah. It was about half, it's about half the ask.
I know,
So
but that sort of forces you to do the least, doesn't it?
And then what was the school? How many computer systems will we?
How many endpoints are we talking on the school side, Mike?
It's almost 300, 200, and nope, I lied. Hold on, let me pull it real quick. I should have it right in front of me. I'm sorry, I don't. I literally just had it. Sorry, my apologies. It is 326
For the school?
for the school, yes.
Okay. And the town was?
And the town,
Oh, no, sorry.
280. Well, no, sorry, 280 was the initial number. Plus the 50. No, you're right. It was 310. And then we decided to move that south to pull 30 of those spares off. So it would be 310 minus 30, it's 280.
I'm trying to follow, okay.
Two different systems too. So the schools are mostly apples,
Yes.
if I remember correctly.
Everyone's an apple but our business manager. She's a stronghold.
Definitely so.
Okay. Okay.
And then it's a split between laptops and desktops, versions of two different Dell systems.
Yeah.
Right.
This could be a Microsoft operating system, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be on 11.
Okay,
Um,
are there any other open questions for IT?
Yeah, how can I help? Anything?
Anything else? Nothing? All right, thanks, Mike.
Yeah, thank you all very much. Appreciate it. If there are any additional questions, please let me know. I'm always available.
Appreciate it.
Take care.
You too. All right. Fire station.
Katie is online if we do have any questions. This is a.
Yeah, I don't think we've had any follow-ups on this. I think it, Katie, just maybe keep me honest here. It was 435 to 706, and the 706 was, if I remember correctly, was a train unit, and it was if we weren't able to reuse any of the ductwork. Am I remembering that correctly?
Oh, you're on mute, Katie.
Oh, you're on mute, Katie.
Can't hear you.
Sorry about that. So you almost got it right. So the unit, the higher price number is it that replace the unit where it currently exists, which is directly behind the 911 center.
Okay.
The lower end of that, the 435, that is moving the system so it's right outside of the fire chief's office, and it stays within the same side of the building. So it's
Okay.
shorter wiring, shorter plumbing,
Right.
you're using a lot less.
Okay. All right. And you're comfortable with 435?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And while we still have Katie, do you want to just do the next?
Jump to the roof. Yeah. Yeah, I think
She's got another one on page 2 in the middle.
Yeah.
Is Chandler exhaust fans.
yeah, I think we were fine.
You're fine with that?
exhaust fans. Yeah, I think we just had a follow-up question, Katie, on the and I think you and Mary were sort of able to answer it on email. It was the 55 related to the water department, the 360 Lakeshore Drive, that roof.
Yep.
So I don't know if everyone was able to see the response, but it sounded like we need to protect the assets, even though they're potentially going offline in 18 to 24 months, maybe.
They will go offline.
They will go offline.
Yep, Mark's up there too.
Okay.
Yeah, Mark is gonna have to help me.
Yeah, just, I mean, to me, it sounded like we wanted to keep it sort of just in case. And make sure everything was protected. If we ever needed to bring that back on, we wouldn't want to have contaminated water.
Yeah, we would never want to abandon a water source.
And we don't want it to fall into more disrepair so that it becomes even more costly and becomes a hazard.
Um,
And we know, so just to address the issue in ClearGov, it was entered as a sort of a two-phase
Two-phase.
approach, but that was really potentially a little challenging because we are hoping that the fix is actually much cheaper than the 55,000. But we won't really know the extent of it until the shingles come off and we see what kind of rot is underneath. And so the upper limit is 55,000, but we're hoping that it will come in much lower than that. And then any unused proceeds will revert right back to water retained earnings. But with respect to the pack roof, which is the other one, so on page 2, highlighted in blue,
yeah,
again, that was a funding limitation program of putting in 150,000. And the rationale behind it was there's 3 sections. So if we could not fully fund the 270, we could potentially get 1 or 2 of the sections funded. However, I'm hopeful, as I said earlier on, with respect to that snow and ice deficit earmark, if I'm able to drop that down from 200,000 to 100,000, then that additional 100,000 would be freed up to be able to be applied here to the PAC roof and get us, much closer to full completion of that.
And there's no other general roof repair budgets?
There are a lot of roof requests throughout our capital program. We all know that. There's no end to the roof requests. But there is not on this particular plan in front of you, there is not a line item for general roof repairs that's being funded for this program.
Yeah, this is the one that makes me sort of most nervous.
The PAC roof?
Yeah.
Why is that?
I just want to make sure we are sort of taking care of the assets that the town has given us. And we've started down this road. I mean, we're on sections P, R, and A, B. We sort of created this plan, I don't know, 4 years ago. And I sort of hate to see us deviate.
So what's the apprehension, Alex? Is it that it's not the full 270?
Yes.
Or
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So again, my hope is that we would be able to move 100,000 over there.
Yeah.
And then the shortfall, if possible, we would look to see if the school department had any available funds in their building use account. Or depending on, the other thing is that I'm holding a placeholder on the free cash schedule for the retro wages for collective bargaining, and we're calculating those right now. So if those come in less than what I'm holding, it will free up additional funding. So the idea is to try to get this to be fully funded for sure.
Yeah.
So if you're going to recommend this, what I would suggest is recommending up to 270. And as I get closer to town meeting, then I will inform you guys on where we stand.
But at least it sounds like we can get 20 from the teacher laptops from Mike.
Mhm.
That 400 go down to 380, so we can get 20 there, and I depending on what it shakes out, wouldn't mind a conversation of, do we lease the laptops so that we can fix the roof?
Yeah.
That's where my mind sort of goes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, we've got to go through the rankings.
Then
Yeah,
I would-
absolutely.
What I'm gonna do then is I'm gonna ask Mike to go back to the vendor and ask for a price of a 3-year lease.
Yeah,
Because it would certainly, be cheaper,
Yeah.
with financing costs, and I'd like to see what that impact would look like.
that would be great.
One other
And if
question.
Verizon was working, I would send it to him right now. It's still out.
One other question, from free cash, are you funding a matching grant?
I am.
Okay. Because that, we put in 250, there's maybe 200, I'm just
Matching grant of, right now it's at 150.
150, okay. Is that what we've been doing, this 150?
It has been last town meeting, we did 150, the previous, I think you guys did 200.
Yeah, okay. But that might be, have we,
So in previous years, we fully utilized it. This current year, there's still available funding left.
right,
So there may be some carryover, but
Right.
I'm carrying right now 150.
okay. I'm not against carrying it, but if it's fixing a roof or
That those that grant match has been very successful for this community in order to be able to proceed with grant funding.
Right, but that's because we had large grant applications, like the $3 million grant, we had to match that 25%, so that drew a lot from that reserve.
Yeah, we've used it for a couple of different purposes.
Yeah, the sidewalks and.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah, but with respect to the sidewalks in that particular year, we were actually not able to fully fund the town match out of the town match grant. We actually had to use some chapter 90 monies to backfill that.
okay,
So I'm inclined to try to keep it at 150 and not less than that.
okay.
Okay, so are we good on the pack roof?
Yeah, I think so. I guess,
I hear you, and I know there's still some fluidity to, you know, how things are gonna shake out, and right now, a lot of it's dependent upon the weather.
yeah. Um, okay. Anything else we need Katie for?
I'm looking right now, and I don't think so. I think those were her 3 big projects.
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome. Thanks,
We're good.
Katie.
Thanks, Katie.
You're
Have a good
welcome.
night.
You too.
Yeah. Let's cover water. So, cover roof. Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw, Mark was able to sort of answer our questions that we had. And Candace, I know you weren't at the last meeting, so I don't know if you supplement anything about the PFAS design, you know, with the questions that sort of came out of the last
Right,
meeting
yeah.
were around like,
They were good questions, and I think there's a fine balance of, so PFAS technology is only 5 years old. We're ahead of our position and need the treatment plant solely because there's a 2031 deadline. We might need 2 treatment plants. So this first one, we were being proactive so that we weren't at the very end and having to do 2 at once. So, and when we met with 2 companies that are being considered yesterday, they did address how it's new technology, it's changing, but they incorporate that in the design. There might be different medias that you use. Worst case, it changes the size of the vessel and you have to replace that. But they've accommodated in the design that the height of the roof would be like 3 feet taller. It's not significant.
got it.
They add, sometimes they've done a plan that there'd be an expansion area
Mhm.
for a different filtration train. So I don't know if we have the luxury to sit and wait for another 5 years for more technology to come out, because then we will be limited to the water supply, because Lake Shore does shut down.
Yeah.
And so we
And it's-
definitely need depot.
Yeah, I guess the thing that I appreciated from Mark's comments that I guess I sort of overlooked was the need to, it's not just PFAS.
Right.
There's other contaminants that we're trying to.
Tremont has the issues with iron and manganese, but Mark, I'll let you talk.
Yeah, so with the increase in PFAS levels at Lakeshore Well Drive, we will probably need to take that well offline sooner than later. And to meet the high demand for the summer, we would need to put Depot online, which was originally taken offline in 2014 because of the high iron and manganese levels. So we would need a treatment plant just to treat the iron and manganese at Depot. And then additionally, we'd remove the PFAS also.
And hopefully that 1.6 is conservative too.
That's what I heard.
I think this is probably a question for you, Mayor. When we go to construct a filtration system,
Mhm.
the next step, would that, I assume that would require a potential rate change for the water?
Mhm.
Okay, to cover the
So-
debt.
A couple of things are happening. The short answer to that is yes, but if you remember back in March, so gosh, all right, we've already
Yeah.
past. So back in March of 25, when we had presented the new rate structure and the select board adopted it, during that conversation, we made it clear that there were going to be rate increases over the next 3 years. So we anticipate in, March timeframe, or maybe we'll get on the June cycle for the fee hearings. So we're back to the normal cycle. The reason we had to accelerate it was to also coincide with going to quarterly billing, which we have accomplished. But we do anticipate that there will be another rate increase. With respect to the quarterly billing, I think we've talked about this before. We're going to need a few more quarters to really see how people's behavior is changing with respect to those price increases. But what I can tell you is within the first 2 quarters of our revenue, or I'll say the commitments, I looked at the commitments this week. We have exceeded our expectations in terms of revenue generation. So I'm pretty comfortable with where we're at right now. That I know one of your concerns was the heavy utilization of retained earnings. But I'm seeing the revenue being generated that will replenish those retained earnings at the end of FY26, coupled with the rate increase. And when we go to proceed with the construction project for these treatment facilities, we're going to apply for, we don't know whether we're going to be awarded, but we are going to apply for the state revolving fund financing, which is a 0% interest loan, which would then, of course, yield significant cost savings on these multi-million-dollar projects. However, we attempted that already, and our project was not deemed worthy enough to make the cut. And so I don't know that we are going to make the cut with that 0% financing, which would mean that we'd have to go out to the market and do conventional borrowing. And where the interest rates sit at that point remains to be seen.
Do we know, is there any legislation at either the state or the federal level to deal with this, other than them changing the PFAS limits and sort of pushing down these requirements onto us with no source of funding to deal with it?
So there is, Mark can probably speak to it as well. I'm sure his associations, he receives that information more directly than I do. But in terms of funding opportunities beyond the SRF, the state revolving fund, there are no other state funded programs that we would be eligible for. There has been some class action lawsuits and litigation with respect to, so some towns have signed on to some class action lawsuits. We have been one of them, and we have received, don't quote me, I'm going to have to look up the number, between $600,000 to $700,000 in settlement proceeds that we have invested right now. And I've worked with the treasurer to invest it in a higher yield instrument. So it's not as liquid right now.
Yeah.
And so we will be able to utilize that for the first couple of years of debt service financing.
Okay.
As we, build out our strategy.
Yeah. Okay.
And then on the water main replacement, when we talked earlier, I thought that was a 400,000, that's now at 500,000.
I've always had it at 500. Did you guys recommend a lower number?
No,
We haven't recommended anything yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
oh, no, I'm sorry.
The original ask was 1.5,
Right,
but that we couldn't accomplish that within the existing budget and retained earnings. Because remember that the water enterprise has now also started to take on their share of the debt service for the DPW facility. So there was a pretty big spike in the water department's budget for this year going forward. So that cuts into available revenues.
so I'm just going through my notes, so Mark, to do the water main replacement for St. George, which is St. George Street, which is the priority, you would need this number to be 700,000, not 500,000.
Yes, that's what would be needed to fund the project.
Otherwise, you would jump to the Hall's Corner, which is a lower priority. So just want to point that out. Ideally, it would be 700, not the 500.
Yep, we'd probably shift to Hall's Corner, get that done, and then maybe the next year, go back to St. George, hopefully.
Or if your PFAS quote comes in lower.
Okay,
Is water main replacement one of those types of accounts that you can use money that hasn't been spent from previous years on a current year?
yes.
Yes.
So the reason why I bring it up, St. George Street is 1.4 million. They have available funds from prior 2 years of 735,000. So that's where the 700,000 would be ideal. Okay. Any other questions on water, sewer?
I just have a quick question do we utilize the Clean Water Trust for any type of funding?
Yep.
Can we use that for the water main?
We can, but we would be looking at financing charges. So if we are able to have cost savings in the PFAS to move over, then we would save those finance charges and pay them.
Okay,
My understanding is they have a 0% interest loan in Massachusetts program.
For eligible projects and eligible communities and
And we don't meet any eligibility for that?
I'm not sure that this particular project has been submitted to get onto their radar. Mark, did you guys submit that for Clean Water Trust?
I think Apex had looked into it, and our PFAS levels were so low that they didn't think we would qualify.
All right, anything else for Mark? All right, thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Mary, the grade for the bridge repairs,
I'm sorry, the one that,
I just noticed the bridge repairs are in that sort of your grayed out.
they're in the blue.
Oh.
Yeah, so the ask was 500 and we're funding 300. And I talked with Sheila about that, and Sheila will be here next week if you guys have some specific questions for her. So I don't want to speak for her, but I will tell you that she was comfortable with that.
Okay.
You know, every repair project that she proceeds with or entertains is based on inspection reports, right?
Yeah.
And so we need to see what the inspection reports look like, but we're also staring down replacing the bridge. So how much or how aggressive do we want to be on those repairs? When we are, potentially going to be replacing that entire bridge, right? So she was comfortable with the 300 and continuing with the sort of the current mode that she's in right now. But again, weather dependent and there could be some challenges that we face at the, unexpectedly.
Right.
Do I understand there's spending some money each year is a good faith thing with the state?
Yes, we have to keep that bridge we have to demonstrate that we're repairing and maintaining it and especially in order to keep it open, right? We would under certain conditions, and I'm getting outside my area of expertise. This is really a Sheila area. But there would be, conditions that we would potentially be facing that would cause closure of the bridge. And we don't want to see that happen. And we want to work through the whole process with the state for the TIPS program in order to see what the new bridge is going to look like. And if we can come to consensus on that and be able to proceed with that project, then we can start to eliminate and phase down these repairs and maintenance monies that we're putting on the existing bridge, right? The sooner we get there, the better. And I don't know if you guys, as a general aside, there is a meeting that on February 11th, where the state MassDOT will be out here. It's going to be held at the high school cafeteria. I don't know the exact time. It's on the town website, where they will give everybody a first look at their proposal and collect feedback. And we all want to remember that it's a first look. It won't be the last look, but that gets us one step closer in the process.
So, I get confused about the relationship between the town, the repair of the bridge, and the building of a new bridge. Seems like there's a gray zone in there somewhere that the state telling us that we need to repair it, but willing to have us not repair all of it that they want us to repair. Are they happy with? How does that work?
I think I'm going to defer to Rainey. Rainey, you up there?
I am. Hi, folks. Yeah, the bridge repairs, we have to do those on an annual basis to keep it open. If we don't do them, they'll eventually close it. I had actually asked Mass DOT, I said, listen, I know that Mass DOT is on the verge of, trying to build us a new bridge for 170 or $180 million. And I hate spending money that I know is eventually going to be, torn down. Do I have to do this? And they said, yeah, it's too great a risk to run, because if for some reason we were to forego it, say this coming year, before they decide to reconstruct the bridge, and something happened, it could wind up in a lengthier closure than when the bridge actually gets removed and replaced. Because when the bridge gets removed and replaced, that's going to be a 1-year closure. So it could be 2 years. And I thought that doesn't make sense. So it would be very unwise to forego moving ahead with this, because what we're finding is that the wooden pilings that are out there, they're deteriorating at a rate faster than originally predicted. So instead of having, say 3 or 4 piles go, we're going to have 5 or 6 or 7 or 8. So we have to do it. We simply have to do it, just like we had to with all of the other prior pile replacements before we ever learned that the thing would be replaced in the first place.
My question wasn't necessarily about not doing it. The question was related to the flexibility or the liquidity and the amount of money that we might spend on the bridge, coming from $500,000 down to 300,000. That seems a little fluid. So I personally don't understand what the foundation is for being okay with 300, and that we didn't really need to ask for 500, or they didn't. Did they want us to spend 500,000 originally?
No, it's not this. It's not Mass DOT driving that. It's our consultant, Simpson, Gumperz, and Hager. That's who we rely upon in terms of piling replacement.
So we're asking the vendor what they want to spend of our money. That's a silly question, sorry.
No, because they're not the vendor. They work for us. They're us, basically. They're an extension of us. The vendor is the person that puts the piling in.
Good, thank you.
Randy, can you remind me again when the next Mass DOT meeting is? Is it next Wednesday?
No, it's February 11th, as Mary had just said, and it's going to be between 6 and 8 p.m. at the cafeteria.
There.
Place with one of our
Yeah.
meetings.
At the high school cafeteria. They needed more time, and it made sense to give it to them because it was getting too close to the holidays for them to wrap their stuff up. So, yeah, that's when we'll have our first look at the bridge. And remember, when you see it, it's the first iteration of it. It's not the final design. And I personally have no idea what it looks like. I haven't seen it myself. So,
Well, yeah, it's here, but I mean, our questions on cemetery are really just, about, I had a question on the funding mechanism, which was pretty easily answered for the cemetery expansion. And then the funding source for the utility card, so I was just trying to get clarity on that. Which Mary is able to give us. Yeah, yeah, does anyone have any other questions for Chip?
Thank you for the information.
Yeah, not all.
And you guys know they presented this to the select board on Monday of this week and it was very well received.
Yeah. All right, so, yeah, the only other, I think, big ticket item that we had a question on that, Sheila wasn't able to be here was, the fuel depot. But Sheila did provide a pretty detailed, email back to us. I don't know if people were able to get into it or not. But Sheila and Jim and some folks would be able to come to our next meeting if we had further questions or if we wanted to discuss it more. I don't know how everyone's feeling.
Is the design totally complete now?
Not yet.
So this is still a budgetary estimate, or have they progressed the design enough? They've got quotes or?
I'm gonna defer to Sheila, which is why I think it would be wise for us to have a conversation next week when.
Yeah, no, I guess. I can just send her a quick email, but the sensitivity of this number, we want to approve it one last time. And
Yeah, and my questions were more sort of philosophical of like, do we want to be in the fuel business? And is this the right solution for the town? For me, given Sheila's response, I've had some questions. I've bounced it off of a couple of people I trust to sort of do this for a living. I'm swinging back to the side of being in the fuel business probably makes sense. But so those, I mean, I don't know if other folks still have questions, comments, concerns.
No, I think, Alex, when you brought some of that up, I think it's important that people are looking at alternatives. But it seems to me from what I see here that this is the best solution.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if we don't ask those types of questions, there's really not much point asking anything.
Yeah.
So, but, the answers I did read through it and.
Yeah.
And I have had conversations with the police department and the fire department. They didn't, I didn't ask them to put it in writing. That's why they would be available to have a conversation with you guys next week. They have some, pretty strong feelings.
Those would be automatic.
Yeah.
They'd be foolish not to.
Yeah.
Right.
Right, so I get that, right.
Okay,
It's more town-wide, looking at the bigger picture, and I think the
Sure.
bigger picture still is
yeah, no,
Home Depot, and the one we have is not adequate at all. The open pumps is not a good idea.
Mhm. Yeah, there's definitely some work. And you know, it was an opportunity for us to sort of do a little, you know, self-reflection.
Yeah.
And put those answers together so that you guys got them. So hopefully you're satisfied with that.
I don't know if anyone else has any sort of follow-up on sort of we could certainly follow up with the dollar amount and the design, and that's easy.
That would be great.
But you know, let's, you know, I guess if there are other philosophical questions, you know, let's get those out and get them over to Sheila, and you know, if we need her to come to the next meeting, we can come to the next meeting. But if people are satisfied on that end,
Mhm.
and we just want to, the dollar piece is easier.
Yeah, she can answer that. I don't want to speak for her. I do have some information, but I think that it would be best, since she is the project manager on this, that you can get that answer directly from her, Candace. And she's pretty quick to respond.
Yeah, I'll do a reply to.
Perfect. That would be great. And then any questions on the Alden feasibility? Did you guys work your way through that? I want to make sure we give the school a fair opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, I think based on the conversation from our prior meeting, you know, having it be a separate article, having it be a borrowing, all sort of made sense to us and was in line with sort of how we've handled these things historically, and it would give the project in our minds the visibility it needs for the community to make that type of decision, because it's, as we all know, you know, feasibility studies and design development lead to projects, and this one's got we're anticipating a big price tag on it, and you know, it deserves sort of its own discussion outside of, I think, Article 6 capital.
I think Danielle, I don't know if she's on, I can't see.
Yeah, I think Danielle, you're still on?
If she wanted to just add anything, I want to give her the opportunity, if it was okay.
Borrowing, this would be melded into the borrowing for the school, and we need to pay for that as well.
Borrowing.
This would be its own,
This would
be a standalone thing. There would be a reimbursement.
30-year.
No.
So no, you're talking about, should the Alden School construction project move forward?
No, I know
Or-
that's not gonna
or-
happen until we know what it's going to be. I was just talking about the 1.75.
Yeah, I guess maybe,
I
could you
assume that would be
rephrase your question, because
I assume that would be a short-term borrowing, like a.
Are you specifically asking the mechanism of the 1.75?
Yes, what would be the length of the borrowing?
Okay, so with respect to feasibility studies, the length of the borrowing is limited. Mass General Law says a feasibility study can only be borrowed for a term of 5 years.
5 years.
So what would happen is it would automatically be a short-term borrowing because it's a reimbursement project. So we would do a short-term note for the full amount, and then we would submit our reimbursements to MSBA, and the net cost would then be permanently financed. But the problem is, we undertake borrowing at the initial, at the onset of the project, if this is approved, right? So if it passes town meeting, passes the ballot, then we would issue a short-term note. We would then undertake the feasibility study, and we would only pay the interest on the note. The feasibility study will take, I'm going to say, approximately a year and a half to complete. And we won't know the final cost of it until it's done. So now let's just say we're 2 years into the borrowing, right?
Yeah.
If the town chooses to proceed with a construction project and actually construct a school, then what we can do is we can marry the cost of the feasibility study into the cost of construction and amortize that over 30 years. However, if the town does not choose to move forward with a construction project, We're still limited to the 5 years, but now remember, we're into year 2 of the borrowing and we haven't paid principal back. We've only paid interest. So what that means is that for the remaining 3 years, we've got to pay off the entire cost of the feasibility in 3 years.
Interesting.
Okay, so there's implications.
And either way, the state pays some of the feasibility?
They do. The reimbursement rate that they've quoted us is approximately 38.37%. Danielle, correct me if I'm wrong on that, but it's 38.3 something. I think it's 37. For eligible.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm sorry. I'm on the phone in my car, so I'm having microphone trouble. I believe that is the 2025 rate, which I would imagine 2026 would be similar for the reimbursement.
Yeah. So that's why it would be important for us to wait to see what that final reimbursement looks like before we did any permanent financing, because we don't want to finance more than what we need.
Right.
Thank you.
I don't mean to interrupt.
Yeah.
We're done with the cemetery and we let Chip go and.
Yeah, Chip, you're all set.
Yeah, Chip, you're good.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks, Bob. Yes.
Yeah, Danielle, I didn't know if you wanted to add anything else on the feasibility study. I think that, the committee has expressed their support for it.
No, I think that I think you did a nice job explaining it. I think we appreciate the consideration. I know there's a lot of competing need with capital requests, and we understand we need to get the word out in the community about this potential project. I think that will be our focus in the coming few months, is just getting the word out about this opportunity, making sure the community knows that although this is a debt exclusion, it will be eligible for that partial reimbursement. And then my hope is that this project is able to move forward so that in 2 years, the community is able to make a decision about whether or not a renovation or rebuild, or to just do nothing and continue to maintain and repair the Alden building, to have that decision be down the road, but to really explore our options. And the only way to that path is through this feasibility study.
Great. Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
The only other questions we had was on the transfer station.
Yeah, which I guess, from our standpoint, those aren't currently recommended in the town manager's budget, so we'd have to figure out which projects we're going to deprioritize.
Seems that 3.7 still have target from your perspective. Oh,
3.1.
3 point.
Yeah.
Probably go some of the small cap stuff.
Well, so, yeah, so the 3.1 includes, I think, all the small cap, so I was just adding up.
Doesn't include small cap.
Yeah, what I was just adding up now is it's like just over 3 million for capital over 25,000.
3.03.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, you add up some of the small cap.
Small cap comes to 116,
Yeah.
767.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, we try to target around 100,000, but there are needs out there. But this target for capital, your capital spend falls right within our financial policies as well.
There's two that are not on the town manager's list that I'd like, not necessarily right now, but just to have conversation on. And that would be the district-wide roof replacement at 50,000 a year, and the HVAC, district-wide HVAC at 50,000 a year.
Yeah.
So those two, especially where there may be movement on the HR system, software system, those are two that are not highlighted for him, but are of interest for me for consideration by our committee.
Yeah, I've been, I'm with you, Karen. I was thinking about this sort of this afternoon, and I guess I would want to, I agree. I would like to give Katie some funds to be able to deal with some of these things as they come up. I guess the one question I was having today, and I think this is a broader conversation we need to have with, it's probably us and Mary and Rainey and FinCom is really around sort of the question we've been having around preventative maintenance, and because there's, I believe, that's, at least and from an accounting standpoint, like that's all expense. Like that would be all in a private company, that would be right, expense down the bottom line, that we wouldn't capitalize any of it. And I want to sort of, I think we need to have a probably a larger philosophical conversation of, how do we get to a place where we have the proper preventative maintenance so that if we were to give Katie a bucket of roof repair stuff, HVAC repair stuff, that it truly is and meets the definition of capital, that it is either, replacing what's there or extending the life of what's there and hits some dollar thresholds.
But that doesn't address them not doing the PMs because they don't.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it needs to be a broader conversation of
Put it
like,
in her operating budget.
well, I guess in my mind, the conversation is, how do we make sure Katie has enough in her operating budget to do the preventative maintenance so that we are just dealing with
Capital.
the capital piece of it?
So if I could just sort of speak to that a little bit.
Yeah.
So within the FY 27 budget, in the 5A, so the balanced budget, we did increase the funding for property repairs and maintenance by an additional $100,000.
Good.
So that she does have more resources to work with. And included in that budget is also funding for the administrative assistant that she so desperately needs, so that she can actually get out in the field and do more work, as you've heard her explain. She's got a skill set that's not being fully utilized because she's doing a lot of administrative work. And so I think we're going to see, more success and results from her if we are able to free her up to do what she does best. And then in the 5B budget, there's a funding request for the maintenance technician that will also be able to address a number of these things that we're talking about. So we have already started a strategy to focus on this in earnest. It's not going to happen all overnight. We're going to, continue to phase that in and increase that year over year. So I agree. And Katie and I have had conversations about some of these items. We specifically asked her to put them in the capital for now as a placeholder so that we have eyes on it, because you can't put placeholders in the budget, right? So this is where we get to have those conversations, but she knows that these are not capital requests. These are maintenance requests. And we do need to transition it from this schedule into the operating budget over time.
Did we also get an answer? I'm just trying to read back on the notes. If we have a fail at the transfer station with the blue bag trash conveyor, remember we were talking about that? That's not funded. What's the result of those conversations? If someone could help me, so I'm not sure I saw it in the notes.
It was sort of buried in the email that Sheila sent that I forwarded to everyone. If you look just below that, there's a highlighted green section from, I think, Norm. And it doesn't have a ton of color in it, but essentially what he said was, they would, if the compactor failed, they would keep trying to repair it to the best of their ability until they couldn't repair it any longer.
But they would also do more frequent trips.
So that was for the trailer. So yeah, if the trailer didn't pass inspection, they would try to use some operating budget to repair the trailer, but an alternative would be to, more frequent trips with the trailers that they have, but would then put the operations side down a person more often.
So there is, some backup methodology. We all know backups aren't the most ideal situation.
Yeah.
But I also want to bring to your attention that Norm is retiring. He has, unfortunately, 16 days left with the community.
Oh, man.
I know, it just went by so quick. He's going to be very, very missed. But his replacement is starting very soon.
Okay.
And so I think we also want to give that new person the opportunity to assess.
Yeah.
And come up with strategies that they see fit as well.
That compactor may never go.
Right. I mean,
It's built like
a tank.
a tank.
Like it should have
used to be.
Yeah.
Like things used to be. It's like a garage fridge.
Yeah.
It's just never gonna die.
Yeah.
Yeah, Karen, on one of your points earlier, I just counted up 4 unfunded HVAC items in this year's budget. We're just not getting to. And it's a big issue. Not fixing it breaks a lot of other things down the road.
Yeah. Yeah, and to that point, it would be, and I know Katie's working on it, just based on the report she gave us earlier of, how many tickets has she had outstanding, and, how many DM tickets she was not able to get to. Ray, this is probably more for you than anyone, but as Katie continues to do that, I would, we have a lot more visibility into what her operating budget looks like from the town side. And I think we need to make sure we're keeping track of that. A lot of the buildings and a lot of the square footage belongs to the schools.
Oh, yeah.
And we need to make sure that they're keeping up those buildings on behalf of the citizens as well.
So, for instance, there's $500,000 in Chandler gym heating system that we're not touching.
Yeah.
There is $108 million worth of capital requests in ClearGov right now.
Yeah.
Just to put things in perspective, so.
Yeah.
That is
I need better glasses.
That is an entire year's budget, so, if everybody wants to send in 2 checks this year, we'd be able to accomplish this committee's work, right? I'm kidding.
All right. Guys, do we want to start dropping things into priority columns?
Did we do a bit of that the last meeting, I thought?
So I left it somewhat open because I knew some of the things were changing. I knew we had questions, so I was sort of thinking we were going to start a little bit fresh tonight, and with sort of all of the information.
Let's try.
Okay. Start at the top and we'll work our way down.
Sure.
I'm going to. I'm just gonna hide a couple columns just to make it.
Super, yeah.
Yeah. We'll see.
Blow it up a little bit. And Alex, would you be so kind as to email that to me? after you're
Absolutely.
finished? Okay, great.
Yeah.
That way I don't have to take all the notes here.
I did the first 3 columns.
Yeah. That's at least a little better.
You probably have the funding source columns. I can answer those as you go through.
Okay.
And did you want to figure out, oh, you already have budgeted 27, okay.
Yeah. All right, HRIS.
This one I don't know how to rank yet. I would say the implementation costs, I would like to say an A, but maybe a B. It's, if we don't do it, it's not safety, definitely an advantage, but.
Yeah.
But how do we rank it
Um,
without knowing?
I mean, we could put a placeholder for what we think the implementation costs are.
20%.
Well, let's do the high end of our estimate, which I think was 35,000.
I thought you said 30 to 50.
I thought 30 to 50. Jeannie said
20 to 30.
20. Yeah, 20 to 30.
I thought you said 20 to 30%. I'm anticipating that the upper limit is 50.
50. Okay.
And that
I'm
would be
comfortable with
expectation that we would
Yeah.
be more conservative with that.
50. Yeah.
And is that A or B? What's the definition is A, we absolutely have to do it.
A is typically where
Safety or already committed.
Safety, yeah, and
D.
then,
Yeah, I agree, Karen.
I think it's a B or a C.
Do we vote on each one?
we usually rank them and then vote at the end.
Okay.
That's easier for me.
Yeah, I'm okay in B right now. I'd like to come back to it
Yeah.
once we get solid numbers.
Put a little asterisk.
Yeah,
And also a little collaboration as it's a continuing cost, and the little collaboration with finance is needed.
okay. All right, town computer replacement. So that's
The lease versus buy.
the lease versus buy. Yeah.
So if you put that in C and then just say request 3-year lease is the option. We don't have the lease numbers yet.
Yeah, we don't have the lease,
You had a 5-year lease number,
Yeah,
which was an estimated 127. I'd probably call it, 130 a year
Yeah.
for 5 years. We have Mike refine that as we get closer. Because I know he's been talking with Dell about their price
and
increases.
his overall 540 based on his reduction in is really 510.
It still sounds like a lot of computers for 155 employees. We have double. And I understand there's general ones. But there's 3 listed for whatever the locker room down there. And I just gotta believe.
I mean, we can go through the inventory. I mean, Mike's put hands on all the computers and.
But are they still in service? They're there. There's one in there that's probably not used. Well,
There's 530, you use the word endpoints?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
For 400 and something employees, not all of which use computers.
no, there's
part of the-
155 employees at the town. And 310 we're purchasing, because there's,
There's the shared, well, the shared, so like this computer. Yeah, the ones they use for genealogy. I mean,
all right.
I sort of have the attitude of saying, you know, if that's the best we can do is to lease it for that amount of money. It's really, Mark's responsibility to be able to make it happen.
Right.
Not ours, otherwise we should be doing his jobs, right?
Well,
Or am I off in left field?
I mean, I guess I was leaning towards the purchase, but just going with the half and have them work out. It's,
Can decide
Whereas-
what to do.
Yeah, in my mind, the only reason I would do the 3-year finance was to be able to put the money down in the roof.
For the whole thing. Up
To do-
front.
So I would say, could we save money doing a 3-year lease? Let's say the 3-year lease is $150,000 a year for 3 years. Or actually, that math.
well, let's go back to this and just say, just put the. We still need to figure out the lease,
The 3-year lease.
so. And
Yeah,
just
the only
say,
reason I would say lease would be, can we somewhat save some money so that we can make sure the roof project gets fully funded?
At least maybe a better
we
deal.
might be able to do that with the HR software.
That's true, yeah.
So maybe we just highlight this and go back to it, or,
At the end of the 3 years, you're gonna get a new computer. I mean, is that it?
No, he was
No.
saying, he was saying 5 years, he would lease it for 3, keep it for 2 years beyond the financing. It would be, it sounded like it would be there would be some hardware and service arrangements, support, sorry. Get the right, support for 3 years while we were financing it.
So they gave us the 128,000 of an annual. Is that assuming a 5-year lease?
Yeah.
Charter is,
it's still more money overall.
Yeah, it's no
Yeah.
way leasing is gonna be cheaper over the term. Yeah, unless you factor in service contracts and warranty stuff that might. Like if he doesn't have to spend time fixing something instead, the lease company has to do that. That's your savings.
Yeah, and it's not, it's more of a financing, it's not really a lease, we don't take. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
we don't hand it back at the
Yeah.
end.
I'd be okay putting that in a B category until we get an answer.
Yeah, I put it in B to buy the whole thing. And then come back to it.
I'm not
At
supporting,
540 or 250?
540,
540,
At 250 with the hope that we
540.
may find money elsewhere to increase that amount.
well, it's already down to 510. And I think there's
What's the 510?
so,
taken off the spares that they have.
yeah, Mike was able to, that 540 is really 510.
Yeah, because they had 10% spares and,
He had a lot of spares.
yeah,
Well, my logic is going something like the following, and the column A is what we absolutely know we definitely need, and there's no discussion about it. We're spending time discussing this. Which means that maybe we ought to put it in B and then come back and reassess the trade-offs.
I was thinking that like an A would be the Chromebook. We have no
So we
choice.
have a commitment to
Yeah.
that one.
The B would be some of these. And the balance would be C, like.
Got it.
We
So it
can't
could be
afford-
like 250 and then 260.
Yes,
Got it.
you know what I mean,
That
Frank?
works, that works.
Okay,
As long as we keep it out of the A column, I'm happy.
yes,
You want to do 250 in B?
Okay.
Basically endorsing what the town is asking for.
School laptops.
Guess I would throw out putting the 380 in B. Do the full fleet. But anyone have a strong feeling?
We'll have the same logic with this. I don't know what our flexibility is going to be after we end up going through the A column.
Okay.
What if our flexibility ends up being $500,000? Just,
So you want to
we did
split
this
this
last year
too?
this way too. It happened this way that we ended up with the uncertainty as to whether it was A or B, sort of moving it into the B area.
Yeah, I mean, we typically, in this part of the process, and B has been sort of a holding area.
Right.
Stuff we'll come back to.
And C is like a process of elimination.
B is, yeah, probably not ever gonna move to B or A.
C is next year.
C is, yes,
Or beyond?
yeah, or beyond. So, all right, I put 380 and B for now. I'm just gonna write myself some notes.
Just say revisit the lease terms then.
Chromebooks are an
Yes.
A. Snug Harbor project.
See,
Are you guys prioritizing things that we're not funding?
we're doing the budgeted.
We typically have gone
You're gonna talk
through
about,
everything. And then we will come, what ends up in A is our recommendation to you of what we should fund this year. So B and C just help us like think through,
got it.
So 435 for fire, central station HVAC, A.
Yeah,
that's it for me. Anyone else?
nope, that's good.
Police fleet replacement,
I would say that's an A. Anyone?
that's an A for me. Staffing study,
C.
anyone feel differently than a C?
Nope, that's good.
No, no, works for me.
Jaws of life,
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that.
B for Jaws of life.
Well, is my memory right that he could live without that this year?
Yes.
Can I
Yeah, I'd take it off the list.
I believe that this was one of the items that he was searching for a grant opportunity,
Okay.
a state landmark.
Yeah, I'm trying to find my notes. Yeah, he was gonna pull it out and request for a grant, or push out to next year, so that should be a C.
All right.
The
Fire
fire engine would probably be an A because that's going to be a debt exclusion, right?
Nope,
What's the funding source?
it would be a borrowing, but not a debt exclusion.
Yeah.
But remember, these things have, a 4-year to 5-year,
Right.
life cycle, so we get the appropriation and the approval now, but that borrowing won't happen until we're ready to accept the vehicle.
And is the thought that the 100,000 will cover that down payment?
So the 100,000 is, that down payment has been removed. Because that is, yep, no, I updated the schedule. So it was on your previous schedule. My original conversations with the chief was that typically what happens, because these are such big ticket items,
Yeah.
the manufacturer likes to have some sort of buy-in, some sort of deposit.
Yeah.
But a town is not allowed to pay for something. You cannot prepay for goods or services, right? So the payment milestone is when there is an asset available to which we can take title. So that means when the chassis is ready, then the manufacturer asks for a deposit. In this particular case, the deposit's probably going to be about $400,000. So what will happen is 2 years or 3 years from now, when the chassis is finally ready, that's when we'll go out to borrow. And it will be rolled into the budget, the debt service budget.
All right, these two land and natural trucks,
See,
everyone okay with that?
Yep.
Grant match A 35.
Yeah, the harbor master,
Yes.
safe boat.
Yeah.
town here,
Yeah.
A.
A. Feasibility,
That one's the debt exclusion, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's A, as long as it's debt exclusion.
Agreed.
anyone else? Feel differently?
one
No.
page.
Yep.
All right, Alden generator,
I forgot the school had taken a lot of these out.
yeah, school had deprioritized the majority of.
Right, so that was that'd be a C then, because that was taken out. I don't remember, their presentation only had to do with that.
Yeah, the superintendent's still online if you.
Yeah, it was, I can bring up their presentation.
Yep, that was not put forward as a priority.
Okay. I know it was the exhaust fans.
Yeah, feasibility study, exhaust fans, laptops, Chromebooks, Packard.
Okay, so we have them all, so these. These would all go to C, or is there any? Danielle, is there any that you would want to reconsider? As a next priority, or?
I don't think so. I think putting them in C for now is fine.
Okay.
Can we make a note on the roof repairs? Just as on that one line, leave it in C, but just a note to once we tally. And
Yeah.
that brought a conversation, Alex, that you were discussing that we should have.
Yeah, let me just make sure, it's line 85, right, Karen? I just want to make sure I don't skip over it.
Yes. Yeah, the 50,000.
This one,
Not
right?
sure oh, yeah, I think so. So line 57?
57 is what I thought you were talking
Oh,
about.
roof repairs, got it.
Yeah, 57 on roof repair. And 69, school Chandler HVAC, 60,000 would be an A column.
Yes, yeah.
And then on the pack group, can we put 150 in A and 120 in B?
Anyone feel differently?
Nope, that's fine.
No, yep, agreed.
Do you want to, can I make a suggestion? Do you want to put 170 in A because you moved 20,000 out of the teachers' laptops?
Yeah.
So we know that we have that flexibility.
And it would just be 100.
Mhm.
And the next item, I think that's the one Karen was saying to make a note, the 50,000 for,
Yeah, so I dropped that note in line 57 and 85.
okay.
Fuel depot,
I'm gonna say A, just to get this done.
Yeah, this has been a never ending thing.
Yeah.
So, yep.
anyone feel differently?
No,
All right, fuel depot, our drainage improvements,
I want to say B, but I know that's going to tally up pretty quickly on that B column with what we're
Well,
doing.
Put it in B, because putting it in C means it's lost forever.
Yeah.
no, it does not.
And I think if I could, I think Sheila did touch upon this in one of her emails, if you guys didn't see it, but the chapter 90 money is applicable for these types of things. And so should this not get funded, and she has a critical project, she would look to her chapter 90 funding to be able to solve that in the short term.
Yeah.
But I think we've also heard from her that, there's not really been an awful lot of drainage work done in town. And the first step is to get a full asset inventory before we can even start to think about what that's going to look like. So that she would use chapter 90 money to sort of develop that asset inventory and get started. So it's not a critical issue for right now.
I just don't want to wait for an asset management plan on maintenance. Even though that's the ideal, if we don't have it or chapter 90 money is cut, the work still needs to be done.
Yeah, chapter 90 money has been increased this year.
All right, what do we think? B or C? B.
Yeah.
All right, bridge.
A,
Yeah, agreed.
300A.
Yeah.
Road paving.
Again, that's chapter 90, right? So this
Yep.
is what she's putting aside in the event there was funds to be able to do more than what she's already doing with chapter 90. Mary said it was just increased. So maybe for this year, that would go into C.
Anyone feel differently? Okay. Sidewalk improvements.
C.
Culvert Bridge Asset Management Plan.
C.
Agreed.
All right. Highway pickup truck 12.
Say,
Dump truck. Truck 15.
I'm not sure I heard any. I can't remember on that. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
Really low miles I saw in the notes.
Yeah, probably
Yeah.
correctly there.
There was nothing really stressing.
45,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
really low
so
miles.
C,
Okay, truck 20. Truck 20.
It was replaced with a Chevy Traverse
Yeah.
SUV.
The current truck is in fair condition with a lot of miles on it. Things are starting to go wrong and adding up.
2018 with 117,000.
Yeah.
This is the director's, the DPW director's vehicle.
See,
Yeah.
Truck 26. This was Norm's number one priority. The 2018, 105,000 miles on it, used for plowing.
Yeah.
B, do you think we should put it in B where it was his number one priority?
Yeah, we can see where we end up. All right, aluminum trailer.
Peterson.
My gut, I would put this in B.
It's not gonna go away. It's gonna have to get.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then a new compactor.
Probably in the same category.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bay Road sewer upgrades.
B,
Good place to start.
All right, PFAS.
A,
Anyone feel differently? Backhoe.
I
That
would
was Mark's
say
number one
A.
priority.
Yeah.
I put it in
So just as like the Bay Road sewer upgrades.
Yeah.
I'd rather do the sewer system maintenance as a general. And work can be done
Wherever.
wherever.
what did we do with that, Candace? Was that in A or was that in B?
Well, there's funds remaining from last year for the sewer maintenance, so they removed the 200,000. And it's like two lines down, but if we are gonna put something in B, I'd put it in that general line item.
Got it.
The one that's highlighted, yeah, and I think going forward, we've talked about that, right? If we can sort of keep the language generic enough to give the department head
Flexibility.
exactly, yeah.
If you wanna put in the notes based on Bay Road sewer upgrades, but
that way he's not, if something else is more critical. And we talked about that with sort of like HVAC issues and roof repairs, like, you know, when we have a breach, that's obviously gonna be a much more critical priority.
Lakeshore Drive.
So did the Caterpillar end up in A?
yes.
Yes, yeah.
I would say, well, I would say B because the well, I guess A for the 15,000. I'll trust that she's gonna do the right thing, so I guess put the full amount in A.
And that at least just stops, she can do the bare minimum to get, so there isn't an OSHA violation.
Was it 15 or 55?
55.
15, right? Isn't
55.
there an option at 15?
No, it was originally, they thought they were gonna phase it in over 2 years.
So the roofing contractor's quote is 15,000. It's a very, very small roof. If they have to go in and not just be, re-roof,
Yeah.
that they have to do the
Structure.
under the sub,
Underpinnings or something.
but it's, yeah.
Perfect. You get 15,000 and do your best.
Well, if they're asking for the 55 of, well,
I mean,
we
if you
want
wanna
to put
limit it, it
15 in A and the balance in B, but I gotta trust.
Split the difference, right? You know?
I mean, if we approve 55, and we spend 35, that's all they spend.
Right. Yeah. There's more in capital light that would be more subjective.
Well, 15 is
Spend-
capital light, right?
Well, it would be one of those like 2-phase projects. So
Yeah.
like-
All right, so,
Well, you're right, Frank. If this committee is only recommending 15, then it drops out of Article 6 and goes to Article 7. Right.
No, I think we should do the 55.
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, we'll go with 55.
Wait. Because it could end up, they find problems, you put 15, they don't get anything done on it, and we see it again next year. That's another year. Beat that road.
All right, $500, 500,000, water main replacement.
I'm doing that in A.
Yeah.
Today,
so this is where if the PFAS number goes less, I'd like to fund the St. George water main replacement for 700,000. So if we can just leave a note for Mary that if she finds,
Well, that's not even on the list here, is it?
no, well, it's
It's part of
it's-
that.
It's one of those,
water main replacement in general.
yeah, they have
I see what you're saying.
money in water main replacement funds. If they were to get 700 more thousand,
Yeah.
they could do all of St. George Street. All right,
I like that flexibility.
yeah, we funded water main replacement every year.
Yeah, we do.
yeah, we tried
We
to,
always will have to.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just to get this project done.
Yeah.
He needs the,
All right, utility cart for the cemeteries, this would be funded out of free cash. The 2.2 will be funded out of, it was 3 parts, perpetual care, lots and graves, and
Mayflower, Karen.
Mayflower, thank you.
Yeah, all cemetery related funds.
So if this pushed off a year, do you think it would qualify under any of the cemetery accounts for funding, so it doesn't have to come out of free cash?
What are you talking about?
The utility card?
I would suggest that, yes, the short answer to your question, Karen, is yes, it qualifies. But this expansion project is leaning very heavily on those cemetery funds. And the cemetery trustees have to approve the use of all of their funds. I will tell you that it is unlikely that they would approve the utility cart out of cemetery funds.
and so a brief update on the utility cart, like it's the one that,
It's the small one.
It's the one that has-
bobs and weaves through all the gravestones.
That has the floorboard is a street sign.
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Mhm.
Anyone want to read this one?
Today,
Okay.
And then the cemetery expansion.
That's coming out of the cemetery funds, right?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is, a piece of it requires town meeting approval, so it will be a separate article.
Yeah.
Excellent. Good.
And the town only needs to approve the use of the sale of lots and graves funding.
So it's an A.
Great.
Yeah, put it on the warrant.
Right, next up is the planning board, hire consultant for.
I think that now we're into cap under.
Oh,
Yeah, so
okay,
that-
so we're done.
That was, yeah, that's the end of ours.
I wouldn't mind seeing the North Hill new heating and AC units go to a B if we were able to come up with money somehow for that. It's the next priority for Katie. After the other one that she has.
Is that cap light?
No, is that the 125?
It's 125.
She wasn't even putting that in for this year though.
She had it as her 5. I'm telling you, it's better than that building. There's nothing there working. They have to open those windows to get cool rear in, and they have to shut everything down to try and keep it warm.
Yeah, I don't see that it was recommended by her for
It's fine.
27, but.
That's why I said B.
Oh, okay, you're saying to move it up.
I'm saying move to B, but if nobody else really cares, then I'm just pointing out that this is from personal experience. I know that this.
Well, we're in there a lot.
It's completely failed.
Yeah.
Is that the one for the Chandler School that you're talking about?
No, not failed.
Oh, okay. Okay, sorry.
They have heat and air conditioning in the small little manager's office, but where the public goes, it's nothing anymore.
What line is that in there? Do you have a line?
I don't have mine. Oh, well, 632, it's right down there, I guess. On this sheet, that's the matchup you're looking for.
Yeah, Alex won't show it because he's got it hidden.
Yeah.
Didn't have a line item.
It's
for-
not important at this point. I want to point out that it's definitely something, but if Katie doesn't even have it that high. All right, so I wonder how that comes up into play and then.
So you can send us a revised list, so we can think about what moved from B to A,
But we're pretty early.
Yeah.
Now. I mean,
because I think we're
Nope, we're already
400,000 short.
Yeah.
of 8 million.
I'll go.
we're under contract now for.
Yeah.
Well, what I normally do below our columns, I put the funding
Exactly.
source.
Town is
So I know what I need to do to make this more efficient.
town is
So,
responsible.
so Alex, with all of if you tally up all of B, am I reading this properly? You've already got that tallied, so we have, how much does that put us over? Just, hold
You're
on.
just A and B.
Yeah,
Hard to tell, because I need it, the funding source is really the key.
Cause like water is in there. and-
Yeah.
oh, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
This is water.
You got
This is
water-based
sanitary.
So
improvement.
I have 2.5 million in A as free cash.
That's,
I may be missing a few things here and
yeah,
there
this is
because
gonna be
this is
finance.
not as efficient as I'd like it to be.
This is gonna be finance.
Problem is that I only do this once a year. You'd think I'd learn after 6 years.
Harbor Master 2, did you already get that one highlighted?
There we go, there we are. We do them in a different view. Yeah. So.
Oh, I'm missing some stuff here, so.
Yeah, right now, I have 2.2 in free cash. In column A.
Okay.
So we need to,
The big items you moved, the software system and the computer replacement.
yeah, it's first three. Yeah. Do we want to revisit now, or do we want to revisit at our next meeting? Column B?
Want to do one quick run through just in case there's something that jumps out that we can move? And then if not, some of these are tied to questions and a
Yeah,
little more
so-
information.
the software system, the computer replacements,
Mhm.
roof, pack roof, DPW drainage, truck 26.
Hold on one
aluminum-
second, Alex. Maybe we should take out DPW drainage, see what everybody feels, but just based on Mary's report on chapter 90 being increased, maybe it isn't as dire.
Maybe move that to C.
Move it to C.
Yeah, what do you guys think?
I think that's right.
That works for me.
What item is this?
Drainage
DPW
improvements, DPW.
It's on.
Which, yeah, this, right now, it's
Page two.
not being requested.
It was line 88.
No, it is down here,
It's
on the
requested but not
second page,
recommended
it's
by.
right above PowerPoint bridge.
Yeah, I see that,
Sheila has it as three
It's
other.
being requested, but it wasn't being recommended,
not being funded.
right? And that's the question.
About priority, basically, and where she's going to use chapter 90 money to do that work, and she has seen an increase, so it probably isn't so dire for her to get this additional funding. That's why I'm making the suggestion to move it over to C.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's what we did.
Can you just filter out the Bs so we can see them collectively? So we have the HR software, the 2 computer line items.
Where did we have this Snook Harbor
Pack roof.
project?
The 3.5 million,
Yeah.
C.
That's what I'm not seeing.
Out of those, I would say the pack roof would move to A.
Meaning make it 270?
Yeah. Right, if we're at 2.0, it's the computers.
Yeah.
So then I would move the computers, the 250 to A and the 260 to B.
For the town. Shift these over one.
Yeah. Because we're gonna do something, or do we just push the school over first? That only brings us to 2.6. So I guess I was saying if we shifted the 2 computer line items and the pack roof, are we still good for priority A?
Sort of. There's still the open HRIS question. Because on the town manager budget, it's funded 200,000 for this year out of free cash.
Right, but if I total up, so say the first 4 items. If we add that to the 2.2. Even the 50,000, the first,
Yeah.
oh, sorry,
Yeah, so 780.
780, so that brings us to like 3 million.
Because the town manager, so I think if I'm doing my math correctly, there's the delta would be 50 grand from the town manager's budget. I think we would be under by 50 grand because the delta, we essentially split the baby of the HRS system
To the room.
to the roof.
Okay.
And then if there's any other reduction, you could possibly do the pickup.
Yeah, it's, yeah, we need to have we sort of need to have the conversation with FinCom. Well, we need to circle back with FinCom on HRIS. And we need to circle back with Mike on the 3-year lease. I think were the two things we were.
Yeah,
Right. But if we put 250 in A and the 380 in A, we can still revisit the lease, because that's less.
Oh.
And maybe leave the 50 in B until we get a commitment for the HR. Until we understand there's a support for the operating budget. Because we're gonna do some computers.
Yeah, we definitely need to do something years.
I think we're overthinking the computer thing. It's, unless we go back, unless we're gonna like completely monitor everything Mike has done in terms of the computer needs, I think we should just go with his work. It seems like a lot of computers for the number of people involved. It just seems that way, but I don't think I don't know why he would be padding it.
Oh, it's just, it doesn't all fit though.
Only in relation to the back roof, is what we're waiting for now.
Well, disconnect.
No, I think we'd still have another 150 or 160 gap.
Can I just clarify, did you discuss before I got on, this is Danielle, about the option of leasing the laptops for 3 or 4 years for the town and the school as a way to save some of the cost in year one?
Yes.
For what we were sort of talking through was we would probably finance or lease one or the other, but probably not both.
Okay, the preference was not to lease both town and the school.
Yeah.
The part of the problem with that, Danielle, is that it obligates where the noise is coming from. But in future years, it obligates funding right off the top for capital in order to cover that lease payment. So we're seeing that right now with the Chromebooks, like for 4 years. We have to make that an investment. And plus it adds, significantly to the overall total project cost when you cost out the terms of the lease. So that's why we'd like to cash finance as much as we could.
Got it. I was just saying, because we end up with so much inventory and having to cover the repair costs, but I totally understand the pros and cons of leasing. I just wanted to double check on that.
Yes, I think if you guys are okay, like I said, I'll reach out to Mike tomorrow, and give him some, information from your conversation. And if you guys are scheduled for a meeting for next week, we'll have him participate, and provide as much information as you need so that you can make, your recommendation.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Sending out the array that we have now and asking the group to prioritize B.
Yeah.
That way we can at least go down what we think is the next thing to include. But I'm not sure, because we have flexibility in some of these issues, it's sort of hard to know exactly what we're committing to.
Yeah. So I mean, in my mind, it's, let's figure out the financing. Let's try to get some time with FinCom to talk through HRIS.
Yep.
I think those are the two big questions we have out, and then I think once we figure those two out, everything else.
You wanted to broaden the language for the
The sewer.
Yeah.
The 40 grand for the Bay Road sewer.
right.
But we do have general sewer maintenance money.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I was. Since we were putting that in B, I was just saying, put it there.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so we'll follow the questions. I'll email this out to everyone. What else?
I'll send you a quick note to shoot on
The price.
the design status.
Perfect. That's great. Minutes.
Yeah, I looked through the January 7 minutes. The only thing that strikes me is, and I think it might be in the other ones too, but I didn't go back and look. It's using first names, and I don't think we want a first name in the minutes. I think we should be last names or position titles. Town manager instead of a or Mr. B. Something, yeah, is that an easy enough fix with the,
I think so.
with those things?
Yeah.
Well, Alex and I were talking about some of it's like it's too much. Like it's, I don't know how much, all we're required to do is just say we had a discussion. Like,
We talked about that because like one of them was like 5 pages long.
Yeah.
The January 7th one though looks pretty good.
Yeah.
2 pages long. I thought
that was Alex went through mine.
you did like the January 7th one.
Andrew sent me his first draft, and I just took our feedback and
They can always be shrunk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with
Are
that.
you guys good with this?
yes, thank you.
That's great. Have a good night.
You too.
Yeah, so I'll see if I can condense them down and.
Yeah, we can just change, names to last names or.
I always did
That's
like.
the AI engine, the handle.
Yeah,
A little bit more formal.
yeah. Yeah. So, motion to, so we need to do. We have 3 sets of minutes, so,
December 17th.
11/19, December 17th, and January 7th.
November 19th is what Beth put out.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I was there. Yes. Motion to approve the minutes of November 19th.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 800. Minutes of December 17th.
From Lance Bass's musical fame comes a children's book with the rhyming title, This Activity on Scary Street. What is trick or treat? Poetry to okay. What is Harlem? Antonyms to descendant.
Where is back?
Yes, you can talk. Montauk Highway at Hamptons is often busy, especially on this holiday, which marks the end of the season, Charlie. It's Labor Day, right? Furniture can help moving for 4.
I haven't.
This type of low bed where the mattress rests on slats. And a rigid futon frame, so we won't have to move a box spring.
Can everybody mute?
Furniture for 2.
It's, I can't hear anything, happening.
Yeah, can you mute? Thank you.
Thank you.
I can condense the 17 minutes down, like for next night.
Terms gave Republicans control of Congress. This
And we're
way,
back.
control of the House.
There we go. Thank you.
All right, so we're gonna, the 17th, the 7th and we're waiting.
Yeah, do you want to try to condense
Yeah,
the 17th?
yeah.
Okay, we can,
Four full pages right now.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a lot of text.
yeah. What about 1-7?
With the exception of the first names, I was okay with it.
Okay. So we'll amend 7 to just do last names or positions.
Yeah.
Is outside of that, are people okay with it?
Yes.
Okay.
So were these being sent to Susan Kelly for?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We're posting them on the website too.
Oh,
Yeah. So everything's updated except for these 3.
good.
So I'll make a motion to approve the January 7th minutes as
Amended.
amended.
Can I get a second?
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oppose? Abstain?
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
I suppose I would have to,
Yeah.
as we go there. Yeah, 7-0.
602.
6-0,
Perfect. Okay. All right. Everyone okay for meeting next Wednesday?
And
Okay.
Oh, also on the January 7th minutes, it had 2025 in there.
Oh,
The 2026.
Got it. Good call.
I'm a sales guy.
I've written 2 checks already. It pointed out to me that the 25 I had in there.
Thank you. Oh, that's right.
All right, Candy can't make it next Wednesday. Is it a problem for anyone else?
Nope.
I can send you a note of my priorities of be at that.
That'd be great.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
No, that's fine. All right, we'll post for next Wednesday, the 21st. All right, motion to adjourn?
Move.
Second.
Second,
All's in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Aye.